Welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, brought to you by the Mindset Coach Academy. I'm Lara Young, your host and Master Certified Coach. Whether you're a seasoned coach or just starting your coaching career, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things mindset, coaching, and personal development. Each week, we bring you expert insights, practical strategies, and inspirational stories to help you become the best coach you can be. Our guests range from leading industry professionals to successful mindset coaches who share their secrets for creating lasting change. Plus, I'll be answering your burning questions and sharing tips from our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program. So, if you're ready to elevate your coaching game, stay tuned and let's dive into today's episode. If you're weighing up ACC and PCC coaching credentials, you're probably asking yourself a much bigger question than which acronym will look better after your name. You're really asking, what level of coach do I want to become? How much depth do I want to bring to my coaching? And what kind of work do I want to be equipped to do with my clients over time? Now, these questions matter because ACC and PCC are not simply two badges on the same ladder. They represent different stages of professional development, different levels of experience, and different expectations of your coaching capability. So let's take a look at what actually changes between them. ACC stands for Associate Certified Coach and PCC stands for Professional Certified Coach. Both credentials are awarded by the International Coaching Federation and both demonstrate a commitment to professional training, ethical practice, and assessed coaching capability. But they do not represent the same stage of development. ACC is the first level of ICF credentialing and is often the right starting point for someone who's newer to professional coaching. It helps coaches build strong foundations in coaching presence, ethics, listening, partnership, and client-led conversations. PCC is the next level. It requires considerably more training and coaching experience, but the difference is not only about accumulating more hours. The quality of the coaching is expected to become more refined. A coach working towards PCC learns to partner with the client more fluidly, listen beyond the surface of what is being said, and explore meaning, patterns, and possibilities without being overly attached to a formula. That does not mean that ACC coaching is somehow less valuable, because a skilled ACC coach can create excellent outcomes with clients. PCC simply represents a later stage of development and a more established level of professional coaching capability. So what's the real difference between ACC and PCC? The practical difference sits across three main areas: experience, coaching capability, and professional positioning. So the first is experience requirements. One of the clearest differences between ACC and PCC is the amount of coaching education and client experience required. Currently, the ACC credential requires at least 60 hours of coaching education and 100 hours of coaching experience. PCC requires at least 125 hours of coaching education and 500 hours of coaching experience. Both credentials also involve mentor coaching and further credentialing requirements, including sitting a multiple choice exam based on the ICF core coaching competencies and the code of ethics for each level. Those additional hours matter because coaching is not something we learn through theory alone. We develop by coaching real people. We learn by sitting in conversations where we do not immediately know what to ask next. We notice when we're trying too hard to help. We recognize when our own assumptions, our advice, or our agenda are beginning to enter the room. And over time, our judgment becomes sharper. We become more confident and comfortable with silence. We listen more closely. We become more willing to challenge while remaining deeply respectful of the client in front of us. And that kind of capability cannot be rushed. The second element is coaching capability, and at the ACC level, the focus is on demonstrating the foundations of professional coaching clearly and consistently. Can you create trust? Can you listen to the client rather than listening for the next question you want to ask? Can you support awareness without actually taking over? And can you help the client turn insight into meaningful action? These may be described as foundational skills, but that does not mean that they're easy. In fact, many of the habits we need to release as coaches are formed here. We have to stop trying to be the expert with all the answers. We have to resist rescuing the client. And we have to trust that the client is capable of thinking, choosing, and creating for themselves. At PCC level, those competencies are expected to become more integrated and refined. This is where the coach is less reliant on a visible sequence of questions or a rigid model. They're able to respond more naturally to what is happening in the moment. Conversation becomes more spacious, and the coach can notice the client's language, their emotions, their assumptions, and shifts in energy without rushing to interpret or try and fix them. They can stay with complexity for longer, and they can help the client explore what might be sitting beneath the obvious goal. And the third one is professional identity and positioning. ACC often suits people who are entering the coaching profession, adding coaching to an existing role, or beginning to build confidence with paying clients. It provides a recognised professional foundation and demonstrates that you've trained against established coaching standards, whereas the PCC tends to appeal to coaches who want to deepen their craft, strengthen their professional positioning, and work in settings where a higher level of experience may be expected. For some coaches, that does have a commercial impact. Certain corporate leadership and executive coaching opportunities may prefer or actually require a PCC credential. In other markets, clients may care less about the letters themselves and more about your experience, your specialism, and your ability to help them achieve meaningful results. That's why the value of PCC depends partly on where you want your coaching career to go. And remember that ACC is a foundation, but it's not a lesser destination. It's easy to describe ACC as the beginner badge and PCC as the real goal, but I don't think that's a very helpful way to see it. ACC is where professional coaching habits are built. It's where coaches learn how to hold ethical boundaries, coach rather than consult, and remain curious instead of jumping in with advice. It's also where many coaches begin to trust themselves. They stop feeling as though they need the perfect question. They become less focused on performing as a coach and more focused on being present with the person in front of them. And these are not small shifts. They form the backbone of credible coaching practice. For many newer coaches, ACC is exactly the right next step. It offers structure, internationally recognised standards, and of course the reassurance that you're not simply making it up as you go. The strongest coaches do not rush past the foundations. They build them properly. PCC is where the coaching becomes more refined. PCC is often where coaches begin to move from knowing coaching competencies intellectually to really embodying them more consistently. The client is less likely to experience the session as a sequence of techniques or carefully planned questions. Instead, the conversation feels natural, responsive, and deeply focused on them. The coach may be able to track patterns, beliefs, language, and internal tension with greater subtlety. They can challenge the client without forcing the conversation and stay neutral without becoming passive or detached. And this becomes especially important when your clients are dealing with something deeper than a straightforward goal. Sometimes the presenting issue is time management, perfectionism, confidence, overwhelm, visibility, or leadership. But underneath may sit an old belief, a conflict in identity, a repeated behavioural pattern, or a fear of what will happen if they do genuinely change. And a more experienced coach is often better able to recognise that level of complexity and work with it appropriately, while also understanding the boundaries of coaching and knowing when another form of professional support may be needed. And this is one reason the pathway towards PCC matters, because coaches need more than credential preparation. They need practice, mentoring, observed feedback, and opportunities to reflect honestly on how they're showing up in that coaching relationship. Should you choose ACC or PCC? The right choice depends on where you are now, where you want your coaching career to go, and how much experience you already have. If you're newer to coaching, ACC is usually the best place to begin. It gives you a credible entry point into the profession and allows you to build confidence and experience through real client work. It recognises that becoming an excellent coach is actually a process. Mastery doesn't happen because we complete a course or we pass an assessment. If you already have substantial coaching experience or you know that you want more advanced professional opportunities, PCC may form part of your longer-term direction. And that doesn't mean that you need to have your ACC first. Coaches who meet the relevant requirements can apply directly for PCC. However, for many people, the most developmental route is to complete the strong foundational training, build genuine coaching experience, and then progress towards PCC as their capability develops. There's actually no prize for racing through the credentials, and there's a real advantage in developing at a pace that allows your confidence to be supported by actual competence. When people compare ACC to PCC, they often focus on the requirements. How many training hours do I need? How many client hours do I need? How quickly can I qualify? And look, these are valid questions, but they're not the only ones that matter. A more useful question is, what is each stage preparing me to do? ACC really helps you to prepare to enter or formalize your place in the coaching profession. It helps you to coach ethically, work within recognized standards, and begin building a credible practice. For career changers, emerging coaches, and professionals integrating coaching into their existing work, that can be incredibly powerful. PCC reflects a more established level of experience and coaching capability. It can support stronger professional recognition and provide access to opportunities where a higher credential is valued. But this development can also stretch you personally. It asks you to become more reflective, more precise, and also more willing to examine your own habits as a coach. If your longer-term vision includes leadership coaching, executive coaching, transformational work, and advanced private practice or premium professional positioning, PCC may make sense as part of your pathway. Not because the letters themselves will create that career for you, but because of the experience, the development, and the refinement required to earn them. Training actually matters as much as the credential. So there's one final truth that often gets lost in the ACC versus PCC conversation. It's that the quality of your training will shape the quality of your coaching. Now, it is possible to complete a program that helps you meet the education requirements while still leaving you uncertain about how to work confidently with a real client. And it's also possible to choose training that develops genuine capability through live practice, mentoring, observed feedback, and tools that help you to understand how meaningful change happens. And those are very different experiences. Credentialing matters, professional standards matter, but so does what happens when you're sitting opposite a client who feels stuck, conflicted, or unable to move forward. At the Mindset Coach Academy, this is why we see coach development as a pathway rather than a one-off course. Coaches need strong foundations, they need practice, and they need honest feedback. They need recognized professional standards, but they also need the confidence and the capability to work with the deeper beliefs, the patterns, and the behaviors that can influence lasting change. And this is exactly what we train you in at depth with additional recognized credentials in our ACC and PCC Level 1 and Level 2 programs. So if you're deciding between ACC and PCC, don't begin by asking which credential sounds more impressive. Ask yourself, where am I in my development now? What opportunities do I want to be ready for next? And what kind of coach am I committed to becoming? The right path is the one that develops your skill, your confidence, and your impact one step at a time. Now, if you're still deciding which pathway is right for you, you can explore our ICF accredited coach training programs at mindsetcoachacademy.com. You can also download our program brochure for a detailed overview of the training that we offer, the inclusions and the pathways available, or you can book a call with us to talk through your goals and find the option that best suits where you are now. We would love to support you in becoming the coach you know you're capable of being. Thanks for tuning in. That wraps up today's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. I hope you found it as inspiring and informative as I did. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow coaches. Your support helps us reach more people and continue to bring top-notch content every week. Remember, you can always learn more about our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program, our coaching membership, and other training opportunities by visiting mindsetcoachacademy.com. Thank you for tuning in and keep striving to become the best coach you can be. Until next time, this is Lara Young signing off. Stay motivated and keep transforming lives.